morning and welcome to our news bulletin, coming to you live from Warsaw. I'm Salia Stremska. Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk warned that the Baltic Sea may soon become a zone of permanent hybrid confrontation, drawing a comparison to the border with Belarus. This comes after an incident on Wednesday where a Russian shadow fleet vessel was performing suspicious maneuvers near an underwater power cable linking Poland and Sweden. Take a listen.
Incidents involving the so-called shadow fleet, in essence Russian saboteurs, may unfortunately continue to occur, and with growing intensity in the future. These efforts overlap directly with our major projects, both onshore and offshore, including not just only our wind power projects, but also the nuclear power plant. Essential components for the plant will be delivered through our seaport. We're also planning to build large offshore wind farms in the Baltic Sea, not to mention other critical underwater infrastructure such as cables, gas pipelines and more. It is no coincidence that the NATO Baltic Defence Initiative, Baltic Sentry, which we proposed, has proven to be essential. Let's be honest, the Baltic Sea may soon become, much like Poland's eastern border today, a zone of permanent hybrid confrontation. Although in reality we are reaching a point where this can hardly be called hybrid anymore. When a ship is dispatched with the goal of destroying infrastructure, it is an act of open aggression.
Germany is deploying troops on NATO's eastern flank. German Chancellor Friedrich Merz and Defense Minister Boris Pistorius are visiting Lithuania today for the inauguration of the so-called Lithuania Brigade. This marks Germany's first permanent foreign troop deployment since World War II. Merz and Pistorius will hold a press briefing and attend the ceremony inaugurating the brigade. The formation was officially activated in the Lithuanian capital Vilnius in early April of 2025. Currently, only the brigade staff and initial support units have been deployed, but by the end of this year, 500 German soldiers are expected to be on the ground. The goal of the effort is to deploy some 5,000 German troops to the country. The German defense minister previously spoke on the deployment of the brigade in Lithuania, saying, quote, "It is a strong signal to our partners and a clear sign to any potential adversary." Construction work on the base for the German brigade began in August of last year. It is very likely that technical-level talks between Russia and Ukraine will take place next week, Finnish President Alexander Stubb said on Wednesday. He added that this would be the highest possible level of talks.
Stubb further shared that the venue for the talks could be the Vatican. On Tuesday, Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni said that Pope Leo XIV confirmed to her that he was willing to make the Vatican available for Ukraine peace talks. Amid speculation that the United States might be withdrawing from the mediation process and leave the peace negotiations to Russia and Ukraine, Stubb also confirmed that the US has not abandoned its role as mediator. Moreover, he asserted that there are now more mediators, including Europe.
Speaking at a Senate hearing, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio emphasized that only negotiations could bring an end to the war in Ukraine, adding that Washington anticipates a peace proposal from Russia in the coming days. Rubio has also evaded questions whether he would describe Vladimir Putin as a war criminal.
The president's goal is to end it. In order to end this war has no military solution. This war will end at some point in a negotiated settlement. And the question is, when does that happen? The sooner it happens, the less people will die, the less destruction there's going to be. It has to be a negotiated settlement to a peace that is sustainable, not a peace that lasts for 3 years and then restarts another war. In order to get to that peace, in order to get to that negotiation, you have to be able to talk to both sides. And both sides are going to have to make concessions. We hope we can have a peace deal. Again, it's difficult. The Russians are supposed to produce a document or a memorandum of peace, as they've called it, in the next few days that will outline what they will require for a ceasefire that could then lead to a broader negotiation and then a final settlement. And I think we'll learn a lot from what that memorandum of peace contains. If it's reasonable, then I think we've made progress. If it's not, then I think we're not any closer here, and the president will have options available to him.
Overnight Russian drone attack on the Dnipro region of Ukraine damaged power lines and sparked several fires in multiple areas. Meanwhile, the Ukrainian army launched a strike of its own, targeting the Russian capital and its neighboring surroundings. Here's more.
Russia's attack targeted the cities of Pavlograd, Nikopol and Marhanets, significantly impacting their power grids. While the strike on Pavlograd damaged an industrial building, the attack on Nikopol and Marhanets damaged 4 private houses. According to the military administration of the Dnipropetrovsk region, no one was killed or wounded in the attack. Meanwhile, Ukraine fired UAVs at Moscow and neighbouring regions. Russian social media has been flooded with footage of people in Moscow and neighbouring Tula hiding from incoming drones. In response to the attack, authorities in Moscow suspended air traffic at the Sheremetyevo, Vnukovo, Domodedovo and Zhukovsky airports. The mayor of Moscow said that local air defences intercepted 23 drones flying toward Moscow, adding that emergency services are working to clear the fallen debris.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky reported that Kyiv is working on a prisoner exchange that was agreed upon in Istanbul. He also added that he spoke with Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk about Ukraine's EU accession. Take a listen.
We are thoroughly preparing for the negotiation process regarding Ukraine's EU accession. On our side, everything is ready to make the first steps. I also spoke about this with Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk. Poland currently holds the EU presidency, and it's important that this be a productive term. I also spoke with NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte. We discussed possible formats for meetings and joint efforts. Together, we are strengthening diplomacy. And one more essential point. We are preparing for a prisoner exchange. Practically every day I receive updates. We must bring all our people home, no exceptions. We verify information on every name. We are doing everything we possibly can, truly doing our utmost. Glory to Ukraine.
A monument to murdered Polish prisoners of war at the Miednoye War Cemetery in Russia was vandalized, according to Poland's Foreign Ministry. In the act, the Virtuti Militari Cross and the 1939 Defensive War Cross were removed from the tombstone.
Polish Foreign Minister Radosław Sikorski asserted that the act was done on the orders of the Russian state, adding that it constitutes an unacceptable attempt by Russia to rewrite history. The ministry informed on Wednesday that it demanded the Russian side immediately restore the Miednoye War Cemetery to its original condition. At a briefing in Brussels on Wednesday, Sikorski announced that an appropriate note would be sent to the Russian side.
Unfortunately, our monument to the murdered Polish prisoners of war in Miednoye was vandalized. The Virtuti Militari Cross and the 1939 Defensive War Cross were removed from the tombstone. This was not done by vandals. It was done by the authorities of the cemetery complex on the orders of the local Tver prosecutor's office, and therefore on the orders of the Russian state. I want to declare to you that we will defend these crosses, because we do not agree to Russian historical lies.
The Polish Ministry of Foreign Affairs will issue a note to Russia regarding this act of vandalism. Warsaw's Foreign Minister Radosław Sikorski urged Poland's Institute of National Remembrance and its president Karol Nawrocki to respond to the incident. Nawrocki is also running in Poland's imminent presidential elections. The spokesperson for the Polish Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Paweł Wroński, added saying that the note will be delivered in the coming days. Poland is reportedly looking to invest 788 additional missiles for the Patriot air defense system. The potential sale, which still hasn't been finalized, is valued at around $5.8 billion.
According to a report from Defence 24, which first broke the news, the Journal of the House of Representatives had a mention of an offer to buy said missiles by the Polish government made on May 19th. Combined with Warsaw's previous acquisition of 4 batteries of Patriot air defence systems in 2017, the full price of Poland's order comes to around $16.3 billion. According to US law, the Congress has 30 days from the date of the order to examine its inventory and potentially veto the purchase. The missiles that Poland ordered are used for shooting down short-range tactical ballistic missiles, as well as cruise missiles and aircraft.
And we continue on the domestic note. Poland's lower house of parliament has passed a comprehensive ban on the sale of e-cigarettes to minors, including both disposable and reusable ones, regardless of their nicotine content.
Wednesday's vote on the bill saw an overwhelming majority of 417 MPs in favour, with only 1 against and 10 abstaining. The bill will now be presented to the Senate and, if passed, to the President to be signed into law. Poland already had laws banning the sale of regular cigarettes to minors, but the legislation had no provisions for new forms of nicotine consumption. The planned ban includes all types of e-cigarettes, including those without nicotine.
A 6.1 magnitude earthquake struck near the Greek island of Crete on Thursday morning. The tremors were felt as far as Turkey. Luckily, there have been no reports of casualties or damage. The epicenter of the quake was located 79 kilometers from Heraklion. Greek emergency services are on high alert, but the fire department has not received any reports of infrastructure damage. The European Mediterranean Seismological Center issued a tsunami warning and advised residents in Greece, Turkey, Italy, France and Spain to follow updates from local authorities. Now, tragic news from across the Atlantic. 2 young staff members at the Israeli embassy in Washington, D.C. were fatally shot outside the Capitol Jewish Museum. The shooting happened at 9 p.m. local time.
As stated by the US Secretary of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem, the 2 staffers were shot at around 9 p.m. local time when exiting the Capitol Jewish Museum. According to Noem, the attack appears targeted. The case is being worked on by both local police and the Federal Bureau of Investigation, which have already named and arrested a suspect from Chicago, Illinois.
And with this, we conclude our morning news segment. Thank you for watching and have a good day. Bottom line coming up next.